Hey, Mike, what do Kelly Slater and PT have in common?
I don't know. They're both world champs?
Nope, they both own Endless Summer box set.
Oh my God, rad. You guys, you can get it too. The link's in the show notes.
Went down to Waimea Bay. What a fantastic sunny day. Boys and girls hanging round. Surfers going up and down. That's when I caught my wave. Knew what to do. Surf that wave right to the shore. And yes, dreams come true.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Quivercast. I am Mike, your host. Let's get into the show. Hello everyone, welcome to the Quivercast. We are stoked. Today we have still ripping Mike Estrada. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good.
All
Thanks
right,
for doing this.
Oh, I'm stoked to be on. I'm stoked have a chat.
Yeah. So we're in Costa Mesa, right? Just
Yep.
down the way from Newport.
We're on 18th Street in Costa Mesa. I've been in this on the street since 34 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So when you started as a Grom, did you know you were going to be in this surf world your whole life?
No, but I just knew early on that I enjoyed the ocean and, parents taking us down to the beach. I just figured I'm going to stick with it.
So it was fun.
Oh, absolutely. And I had my brothers too with me. So mom would take us down to 15th Street and we'd boogie board. We started off with boogie boards and then stepdad got us on boards. We started consistently surfing around 9, 10.
Okay. So your brother's older, younger?
I'm the oldest. And then I have younger. I have three brothers and then, and two of them are half brothers. So,
okay. They all surf?
Yeah, they do. And then,
and still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably. So my brothers, Dave doesn't surf still, but Seth does. Seth, I have a half brother, Seth Elmer. He's in Hawaii. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. You guys talk about surfing still when he
comes over, he's got a couple of Groms now. When he comes over from Hawaii, we get in the water.
Cool.
Yeah.
You ever go and visit Hawaii still?
Yeah. I was just there last October. Last October, I was on Kauai and Oahu. So I shape for Town and Country. So I go and visit them and surf with Ryan Sugihara and Craig and golf with them and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. We'll get into TNC things. That's kind of cool. The iconic surf kind of.
Yeah.
Actually, let's talk about
that brand.
Town and Country is like the epitome of what surfing is, especially Hawaiian surfing.
Yeah, I mean, they've been around since 71. They're still killing it. They celebrated 50 years in business.
Wow.
2021, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're 52 years in business.
Yeah, and so it was kind of interesting because, we're the West Coast licensee for them, but we were doing a lot of retro stuff, retro airbrushes and stuff. So that was kind of cool.
I think I saw on your Instagram you had the Martin Potter.
Yeah. I did some Potter sprays.
So rad.
I linked up with Mark Townsend. Yeah, so he was the 80s airbrusher and he was out of Oceanside Factory and he did some boards for me.
Wow.
Yeah, they were killer.
Did you get one for yourself?
Yeah, I got one in my room. Oh, yeah. He thanks, Mark. He actually did a killer one for me, no charge.
Dude, that's rad.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you link up with TNC?
It was through Jade Howe, who was a clothing designer. Originally, he was with HIC, and then he was working with TNC for a little bit. TNC set up in Costa Mesa, and I just hit him up, and I said, if you guys need any boards done over here, whatever, I'd love to work with them. I always loved the brand, and that's kind of how it got started.
So how stoked were you?
Real stoked. I mean, over the years, I've been able to build relationships with different surfers that I probably wouldn't have shaped for if it wasn't for Town and Country. So
some of their team riders were also getting boards from you?
Yeah, early on, Dustin Quizon, I made him some boards, and Jason Shibata, and then and then Town and Country had they were sponsoring guys up and down the coast, and we were making their boards for them. A lot of different names.
Who at that time was the main shaper in Hawaii around the islands?
Let's see. I think at the time Sino was shaping with them. Mm-hmm. Jeff Johnston. Tommy Tanaka, who still shapes with them. and they had a huge factory over there when I first started working with them. It was around 99, 2000. So when I went over there, I couldn't believe it. I was blown away how big the factory was. And I want to say there was like 7 shaping rooms. So yeah,
Wow.
they, let's see, I said Sino. Yeah. I said Sino, Jeff. What's his name? Jason Kashawai was a shaper there too for a little bit. And, so they had a little army over there.
Now, on the shapes of the TNC, do you guys go up like, how do you guys get the similar? You guys all put your own touches to the boards?
Yeah, each shaper has their designs that they like to do. And, so over here, I have my designs that I do for California. And
Which is probably different than the boards over in Hawaii.
yeah, and, there's similar characteristics with short boards and rockers and this and that. And there's, different fine tuning for, different waves and stuff. But for the most part, we do our designs here, and then we can do similar stuff that they're doing there.
And the guys riding for TNC, do they have a preference on the shaper they like to work with, or do you guys work all as one team?
Obviously Glenn Pang is the main guy over there now. And then see Tommy Tanaka and then Makani, which I think he was originally from Kauai, but those are the 3 main shapers in Hawaii. And then they, kind of work with different surfers. Yeah. In the Hawaiians.
So super fun.
Oh yeah.
Has it helped business with the TNC?
Yeah, it has. I'm just a local shaper here in Newport. But I've always tried to identify over the years with, brands that are bigger than me. So it kind of helps out.
And iconic wise, if anybody growing up in our age bracket loves TNC.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They've always had a presence, and they've always sponsored, some of the best surfers coming out of Hawaii and, some guys over here in California as well. Yeah.
Who was your favorite TNC rider?
Let's see. That's a tough one because, I'd say Dane K. Aloha.
Oh, yeah.
Martin
Dane.
Potter.
Martin Potter, of course. That's what I think of TNC and Martin Potter.
Yeah. He was probably, him and Dane probably were the most visible. They've sponsored a lot of guys over the years.
Of course.
It's, people come and go, but I'd say those are probably the most iconic.
Yeah, 100%. Now we're going to go back to where we started. So you started surfing in like 15th Street, Newport.
Yeah, well, body surfing. There's that was like a little place where you could go out and get barreled on a boogie board.
Yeah.
Then we pretty much, first waves I caught were around Blackie's 28th Street. Mm-hmm. My stepdad got us out there. You never forget your first wave where you actually stand up and go and trim. And once that happens, it's on, a couple times prior to that, as a grum, I wanted to quit. I was purling and just eating it, just getting frustrated. And like, I remember thinking to myself, I'm just going to quit doing this. And then the very next day,
you had that thought.
Oh yeah. I was like, I'm over it, man. I can't figure it out. And then the very next day I remember catching a wave, and it wasn't just a white water. It had a little face to it, and I got in trim, and I was just like,
really?
Oh yeah.
That's pretty quick. Yeah, actually.
Yep. And then from there on, it just, just kept surfing and getting better.
Were your brothers at the same level as you at that time, or were you a little bit better because you're the older one?
Well, there's only a 1.5 year difference between me and my brother Dave.
Yep.
And then Seth's about 7 years younger than me. So
he was.
So Dave and I progressed at the same level.
Okay.
And then we were riding our parents lived around here. We were riding our bikes to the beach and stuff, and we progressed at the same level, and it was a lot of fun. Having your brother with you surf. So.
What was your guys' relationship in surfing? Was it like talking smack to make each other better, or were you guys more like helping each other?
Yeah, well, I think at first, kind of helping each other. And then, of course, the competitive things, sets in. And then, and Dave was a good surfer.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. And so then it kind of becomes a rivalry thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that it grew into that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
how old were you guys when that kind of kicked in?
I'd say we started competing, which these days it would be relatively late. You know?
Of course.
I think I started competing when I was 14, maybe 15, somewhere around there. So that's when kind of started, taking it a little more seriously.
Okay. How was your first competition? Do you remember?
I probably lost first or second round.
You don't remember?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it was an NSSA contest.
Oh, you went straight into the.
But no, before that, it was a Wave Tools team tryout. And I remember my brother made the team. I didn't. I was bummed. But
that
eventually
probably brought the
I
competition
got,
back.
Yes, eventually
you're the older one, so that had to hurt.
Yeah, I did. And, I just didn't get the waves. But, I mean, I think Dave was probably surfing better than me at the time, maybe,
Okay, fair.
But, yeah, that one kind of stung, but that was a motivator for me. So
yeah, motivation's it's everything.
Yep.
Especially when you're young.
Yeah.
Okay. So at what point do you start seeing success in amateur?
Well, I'd have to say, you just kind of take first couple years, you enter it, they see you around the contest area, they see that you're committed. I lost a lot probably the first 1 or 2 years, but then I remember I had a little bit of success at a contest that I think it was the first final I ever made as an NSA. It was an NSA Explorer at 9th Street, or we called it Taco Bell Reef.
Yep.
And I remember that was around the time Wooly was really kind of encouraging me to, take it a little more seriously, because, we were just basically kind of goofing off and we were into punk rock and all that stuff. So we were doing that sort of thing. So Wooly kind of encouraged me to take it a little more serious. And then I started to see, like, after that result, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And so I started surfing the NSSAs on a regular basis.
Let's talk about goofing off then. And before taking it serious, what does goofing off mean?
Partying.
Okay.
We were, even before we could drive, we had friends that had older brothers and they were taking us to punk rock gigs. So we were pretty into music I think I got into that at around, I was like 8th grade, 7th, 8th grade.
Oh, young.
Yeah, I was young.
And punk was fresh and new.
Yeah. So we had a friend that was taking us to LA. We were going to the Cuckoo's Nest all the time. And so that was what we were doing, and we were partying. So we weren't taking anything too serious.
Parents, what were they saying at the time?
Oh, yeah.
Did they have thoughts?
Well, it was
Were you
funny.
like
A couple times I'd leave my house dressed in my surf clothes, and then I would change into my punk rock clothes, and I got kicked out of school. Yeah, I got kicked out of school. I was going to Costa Mesa High at the time, and I got called into the principal's office, and they called my mom, and they said, "You know what your son looks like today?" And well, when he walked out, he was wearing OP shorts and yeah, I had like my punk clothes on the side of the house in a bag.
Wow.
And I was in boots, jeans, everything. But yeah, so I got kicked out of school, and then that's kind of when my mom was like, okay, and my mom and dad were divorced at the time. So and my mom was strict and my dad was a little bit more, whatever. So I went and lived with my dad for a little while. He was in Fullerton, La Habra area. So, that's kind of where we were going. We had friends down the street that were punk rockers. So they were taking us to gigs and stuff.
So what's the craziest thing that ever happened at the Cuckoo's Nest?
I saw a guy who was totally drunk and he peed all over the pool table. That was the craziest thing I saw. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this guy's, and I think he was one of the local, I forget the guy's name, but I remember he was a local surfer down in Newport that would always surf 36th Street, and he rode a Wave Tools twin fin. But yeah, that was the craziest thing I ever had seen at the time.
What about at the Cowboys next door?
Yeah, so the Zoobies, Zoobies. I mean, there was definitely confrontations. I was a skinny young kid. I saw a lot of fights and stuff. I didn't actually get into fights. And, when you jumped into the pit, usually the bigger guys were looking out for the little scrawny guys like us. So didn't get too thrashed, but we were definitely partaking.
But you were having fun. It started off in a fun environment, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely, there was some aggression there, and it was fun.
Did you see the switch when it turned more violent?
After a while, I just kind of got out of it because I got a girlfriend and she wasn't really into it, and I just stopped going to gigs and stuff. But
that's a good point.
I didn't see it get, it was early on for me. So like we were basically. I mean, I saw like another crazy thing we saw Fear, and I couldn't believe that. That was gnarly.
Was it good?
Fear at the Cuckoo's Nest was
just crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. That was another really crazy thing because everybody was just spitting all over the band, and it was so gnarly.
Oh.
And I think back to that, I'm like, man, how do those guys do that?
Well, they're young too, right?
Yeah, no, they were
Probably a little. How old was Fear?
leaving. I don't know, but I mean, that was back around
this mid 80s.
80. Well, no, early.
80s.
Yeah, it was early on, 81 probably, 80, 81.
I mean, what other bands you see?
TSOL.
Yep.
One time went into LA, we saw Middle Class, TSOL, Social Distortion, China White, Adolescence. There was like 5 or 6 bands on the bill, and that was another place I saw a lot of crazy people too.
Was there a different scene in LA?
Oh yeah. It was almost like I felt like at some point, thinking back, like some of these people, I think they just shaved their heads. Maybe they're homeless people or whatever, just to show up at a punk gig, because I saw a lot of crazy people there too.
Like literally, like lunatic crazy?
Well,
Or just crazy,
almost like, whoa, you're standing next to you. They're, just almost like homeless people. It was weird.
How did that clash with surfers and the surf lifestyle? And just so you said, the dress code was different.
Yeah. Well, obviously it was before I got sponsored by Quicksilver, but it was, we were running around basically in our punk rock clothes and surfing, wave tools. So it was kind of going hand in hand, I guess. Once I started taking it a little more seriously, then I got sponsored by Quicksilver, and then it was more like trying to be a little bit more
Clean cut?
Yeah, and get into the surfing competition and that sort of thing.
A couple more things. We never finished on the, what did your mom say when you got called to school and you're like,
oh, yeah,
your dress was different?
Yeah, I know. She was floored, and then
She had no clue?
No, she didn't. I was keeping
Hit it well.
Yeah, so she didn't have any clue, and then we got into it, and then
Where's my surfer kid?
I ended up leaving for my dad's house
And then how'd that go? Because now you're living semi-inland.
Yeah. Well, we definitely got in with the guys that surf and could drive, so we'd get rides to the beach, and then we were going to punk rock gigs at night, partying, and yeah, that's what we were doing. It was fun.
So the bands you've seen are the iconic punk bands that people still talk about today.
Oh yeah,
that are still playing. Some of them.
TSO. I mean,
they're
TSOL. They're touring. I mean, those were really fun gigs.
Did you become friends with those guys at all, or were you just like a fan? You weren't in with them?
No. We'd see Jack here and there. I mean, I ran into him after I saw him a little bit ago, and someone from the stage tackled him, and he went over the side of the stage. And,
a couple years ago, right?
Yeah. I was with Mike Cottrell, actually. And then I saw him. I was going to my airbrusher to drop off boards, and I was driving down the beach, and I saw Jack, like, I don't know if he was just taking a walk or what. And I pulled over, and I go, oh, man, that was insane. What happened? That was a great gig, this and that. And I said, how was that guy tackling? He said he was all black and blue.
Oh, shoot.
Ribs and stuff, so. But it was like a friendly thing. But yeah, he went over the side of the stage.
Oh, it was the dude from Pennywise.
Oh, is that? I don't know. Yeah, somebody did that.
The Fletcher guy from Pennywise. Okay. That's what happened.
Yeah, he was a big boy too.
Yeah,
he's
huge.
Yeah, and they both went over the side of the.
Yeah. All right. Jack surfing. Did you ever used to see him out in the lineup? Because Jack surfed all the time.
Yeah. I mean, like I said,
so you knew he was the TSL singer.
Oh yeah, we knew those guys surfed too. And I remember one time after a gig, we went down to River Jetties. There was supposed to be maybe a fighter. Walked out at River Jetties after going to the Cuckoo's Nest. It was like 12 o'clock at night, and I can't remember what happened, but we all went out there and
to watch a fight.
Yeah, or there was going to be a clash, and I don't remember. I was probably out of my mind, but
okay. You leave this punk rock because you have other things. Now you're more serious. How does that change your life?
Just focusing on, trying to do the NSA. I was never NSA national team or anything like that.
Okay.
Did some NSSAs, did some Explorers. I actually did pretty good in the Explorer. I mean, I wasn't, at the time, I didn't have good grades, but that came around as well too. But yeah, so I was just doing that stuff and competing and having a good time, and sponsored by Quicksilver and doing other events too.
Now you're sponsored and stuff. Does that add pressure to you? Or are you still just surfing?
Yeah,
That's
we
fun.
were surfing for fun. I mean, there was a lot of growing up in Newport. you just show up at the beach and there'd be photographers down there. So it was, we had photo contracts with Quicksilver and our sponsors. So it made a little bit of money, you know?
Okay.
You know, we were trying to get photos, trying to do contests, going to Hawaii.
What year did you get sponsored at Quicksilver? Do you remember?
I'd have to say it was right when Quicksilver ST Comp Wave sort of was coming together.
Okay.
You know, it was going from Mountain Wave to the ST Comp, they called it, the Comp Wave. Can't remember what year that was. I would say had to be 82, 83 maybe.
So early 80s.
We were always surfing in Newport, and Danny and those guys were still surfing as well. And Danny asked my brother and I to be on the team for Newport. So we were stoked, and you started getting flow. I mean, the old Quicksilver building was right across the street here.
Yeah, I remember going there.
Yeah. They went from, I think, production to this building and then went to where the Vulcan building is now.
Like that all outlet or something? Is that
You
what
know,
it is?
yeah. You know, that Vulcan around on Monrovia, that was Quicksilver before it was Vulcan.
Well, how does it feel when you have this Quicksilver sticker on your board? Does that make you feel like you're somebody?
Well, it makes you feel like you're a part of something. And that's, you know, there's team riders up and down the coast.
I mean,
and
Quicksilver at this point is huge.
Yeah,
Kind
and
of,
they were. This
OP's
was
kind of
this,
leaving.
Yeah, and this is when things were going. It was before Kelly Slater actually
Yeah, way before.
signed with them, but they definitely had momentum going, and it was fun being a part of that.
Do you think these brands at this period of time, in the early 80s, whatever, when you're on Quicksilver, meant something to people? The Billabongs, the Quicksilvers, they were kind of leading the lifestyle.
Yeah,
I
for
believe.
sure, they were the main brands, and I mean, Quicksilver, their board shorts. I mean, when you're a Grom looking at mags and you see
Right.
before that, it was like, you know, Lightning Bolt or OP, like you say. But when Quicksilver came onto the scene, they had their worldwide thing going, you know, just gaining momentum.
As a team rider, were you told anything? Like, this is how we represent the brand?
Yeah, you know, there was photo shoots organized. There was competitive workouts and stuff. And so, yeah, there was definitely a program you were on. And then we had contest photo incentive. At that time, your sponsors were helping you out with those things. So if you were at the level, you know.
Were you at the level?
You know, I was obviously progressing, and I think personally, I think I've done my best surfing through my, you know, later years to a certain point, but yeah, definitely progressing and always, you know, learning, you know, same with shaping too. You're always learning.
You're a youngish Grom on Quicksilver. They have probably one of the best teams. It's Billabong and Quicksilver.
Yep.
You're around the elite surfers of this era. Does that push your surfing?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean,
Especially when you're going if they're visiting or something, you're sitting in a car with them or driving somewhere.
well, I mean, you think about it just out in the
Paddle.
water, when you're in the water with somebody who's surfing better than you, you know, you're like,
Tom Carroll.
You're looking, yeah. I mean, you know, those guys would come to Newport, visit, you know, you'd watch them surf. Shane, I mean, all just different professional surfers coming to town, and just you see them surfing, like, wow, you're just amazed, and you want to, you know, try to surf it, get to that level.
Who was your favorite guy on Quicksilver? You're a goofy foot, so
Yeah, so
you more-
I'm going to flash back to, well, let's see. That's a tough one. I mean, Quickie. I like Marvin Foster.
yeah.
Well, Rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those guys early on. I was a fan of Ronnie Burns, but he was a Billabong guy. But no, I think Ronnie Burns at Pipeline, I loved how he would drop in, pulling, like he had one of the best mid-face snaps and just get in the hook. I love that type of approach at Pipeline.
Okay. Were you trying to emulate, follow that? Or
Well,
just
yeah,
surf
I mean,
style?
I just always wanted to be, you know, style to me, I think, is first and foremost. So just try to develop a good style. And I didn't, you know, like everybody was trying to copy Tom Curran, you know.
Right. You're either Curran or Aki guy, right?
And I mean, I remember the first time I saw Aki surf at the Caton, I think it was 1984. It was small, and he was surfing faster than anyone. And I was just like, oh my gosh, he was warming up on the south side of the pier, and I was just like, there's nobody's going to beat this guy.
Yeah.
It was just unbelievable. And so when you see that live in person, you're just like, oh my gosh. And so there you see the level of surfing that people can get to, I'm way off of that. I was like, oh man, there's just no way, you know, you just try and do the best you can and progress.
So what are you thinking at this time too? What are you thinking your life's going to be? A pro surfer, or were you thinking you're going to?
No, not, well, you know, I didn't have a whole lot of competitive success. I did some PSAAs. I ended up starting a family young, so my attention went in a different direction. And so I wasn't really the type of person that, I mean, I love to travel and surf, but I wasn't ever going to be like traveling to compete. You know, I mean, I went to Hawaii for PSAA in 89, went up to San Francisco, had fun doing it. And, you know, I was with the boys, but then, you know, I had a longtime girlfriend and we started a family early. So that was definitely out of the equation back then.
That's where shaping came in, or how did shaping come in?
Yeah. So
you got to get an 8 to 5 kind of thing.
Yeah. So
make a living.
I was just kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do. I was working for my ex-wife's grandfather's company and just trying to figure out what I was doing. You know, I've always kind of dabbled in surfboards and stuff as a kid. And so it just came to a point in my early 20s and I was like, my cousin was all fired up on shaping and he was an airbrusher here in town and I'd always check his boards and I was like, okay, it's time to do this. You know, I was riding for Wave Tools at the time, broke my boards. Richie was on tour. He was shaping some of my boards. Lance was shaping them. I think he was in Hawaii at the time. And so I just was like, all right, I'm going to do this. And so I went in the shaping room with my cousin, Sean. He had done about 70 boards. So he helped me shape my first board. And then after that, I got a planer and just started shaping for myself and my brothers and just kind of worked it out as I went, you know, got a little bit of help from Lance at Wave Tools. He let me shape at his place for a little bit. It was kind of cool to start going in that direction.
You kind of had a mentor then.
Yeah. Okay. You know, I mean, Lance, I'd watch him shape. I don't think there's anybody that could shape a board faster than Lance. I mean, I'm sure there's guys that can, but at the time I'd watch him shape my boards and they were flat deck, pretty basic, you know, 80s boards, but man, that guy could shape a board so fast.
And Richie was on tour at the time too. So
yeah,
he had an elite, one of the best surfers.
And I think Richie might've been, you know, Richie's been making boards since he was 11 or 12 or whatever. So yeah. I know Richie was riding Wave Tools on tour, but I don't know. I think he might have been shaping his boards. Maybe Lance shaped him some too, but I think Richie was pretty proficient by that time. I think he was shaping because he was shaping my board. So I know he was, you know, yeah, those things, they were good.
You may not know this. So I'm asking as a question because I don't know either. Is Richie Collins the last surfer shaper that's been on tour that's done well? I can't think of anybody else.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I don't know.
Right.
I have to research that.
I just never thought of it until you brought it. I don't trust Google. It might come up. All right. So you starting to get into shaping it. And what do you feel about it? Are you stoked on it or is it just a job?
No, I'm stoked on it. And I mean, at the time I was stoked. So going into the shaping room for the first time with my cousin, yeah, it was cool. We did a board in under, 2 hours, short board, and I was writing it and I was stoked on it. It was working good. So I got all my shaping stuff. And originally I started shaping down the street at a factory down here because this is a bunch of shapers around here.
This was the epitome of the surf industry. Right?
Yeah. So after that initial board, I'm like, all right, I'm into this. And so I was kind of coaxing my brothers into writing my boards. But after that first board, then the second, third, fourth, fifth, oh my goodness, man. It was so gnarly shaping a board and trying to, I went from doing a board with my cousin an hour and a half to shaping boards take me 4 and 5 hours. And I was just like, oh, this is brutal.
Were they working?
They were ugly, but they were working. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I didn't, I was able to, I don't think I ever hacked a blank to the point where I couldn't
fix it.
Yes, exactly. And that's basically what you spend your time doing as a shaper when you do your first boards with the planer is you're fixing all your screw ups.
Okay. So that makes sense.
Yeah. But then if you work through that and then then things start to come together, you get a system down and then they start looking better. And then you start understanding, things.
Yeah, every board you're improving.
Yeah.
Are you still improving today?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
you're still learning.
yeah, always. It's just so much fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know at this point that this is what you wanted to do for your life?
So was shaping some boards out of the factory up the street here. It was Clearwater Glassing. And then I had a friend in Japan, and he's like, hey, we'd love to get some Wave Tools boards over here. You think you could get some Wave Tools? And I go, I don't know. I'll go over and ask Lance. So I went over and said, hey, Lance, is it cool if I shape some boards out here and put Wave Tools logos on them? And I'd already shaped a few boards by then. And he's like, yeah, no worries. And yeah, so then I was shaping out of Wave Tools for a while, and that was going good. And then one of my customers ordered a board, and he approached me, and he's like, he would airbrush, he would color his own boards, and he goes, hey, we should do something, I'll airbrush the boards and you shape them. And he goes, I got a setup in my garage. So I said, all right, let's try it out. So I go from Wave Tools factory to a garage. So I kind of went, backwards. But anyways, in terms of, usually you start in the garage and then you get a factory. But so was in his garage for a while, and things were going pretty good. And then I said, hey, let's open up a factory. I said, if we start a factory, I know I could get my cousin, who was shaping for Surfside Sports at the time. And he basically carried the factory for the first, year or two. I said, I know we could get something going. So that's what we did. We went, I got a place across the street over here, built 4 shaping rooms, and just started a glass factory. And I wasn't doing that many boards at the time, but that's what, was kind of a motivator. And then I got in there and learned how to do everything on a surfboard. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and still doing it today on 18th Street.
Yes, you are. And your boards are rad, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah. Financially, was it stressful? Like, you're starting a business. That's the hardest thing in America to do. And you're kind of starting from scratch.
When you're young, you have the energy. I don't think you're really thinking about stress. You're more focused on, I want to do this, right?
Yeah.
So
For the love.
Yeah. I've been fortunate enough, I've been like in this building for probably 32 years, maybe.
Wow. Amazing.
I've always had a reasonable overhead, and I've kept it, I've never tried to, I'm not really into expanding because I know how this business works. It's like,
you've seen
peaks
ups
and
and
valleys.
downs.
Yeah. So, and honestly, I started doing this because I want to surf. So
That was my next question.
for me, I enjoy making surfboards, but I enjoy getting in the water. So there's a balance there. So keeping it small for me has been good. I'm a mom and pop shop. My wife runs the front office, and, I manage the factory, and I have a few guys that shape out of here, and that's good for me. I can put a roof over my head and food on the table.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when you're gone, you can't take anything with you. So
There you go. Yeah.
live in the moment.
There are some shapers, probably fabulous shapers, and there's so many shapers out there now that they get so caught up in work and shaping boards that they don't have time, or they forget they need to go surf. So you were lucky enough. You kept that balance.
Yeah. And you also have to balance it with your family life too.
Oh, that's true.
You can be so focused on whatever your business. And I love what I do. I could spend 24 hours a day here, but it wouldn't make you happy. You got to have the balance. So, you got to balance the family life. You got to balance the shaping and the surfing.
Did that come organically, or did you have you had to learn that?
Yeah, I think you definitely do, because there's been times when I've been working a little bit too much, and then you kind of get a wake up call or whatever, or I get grumpy if I can't get in the water. So, and don't we all though, right?
Yeah,
this is nothing new. I mean, I'm sure a lot of our wives tell us, hey, you know what, you need to go get in the water. Yeah. So yeah, you gotta find that balance.
And you're married now.
Yeah, I've been married for 29 years.
Wow. And she tells you to get in the water.
Yeah.
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 Does she surf?
No, she doesn't.
What's her name?
Her name's Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle doesn't surf?
No, I tried when I first met her. I got her on a board a few times. She doesn't like the water in California. It's too cold.
It's cold. It's
when we go to Hawaii, she surfed at Waikiki and had a fun time. And she did kick the reef and cut her baby toenail off.
Ooh, that was hurt.
She enjoys the water in Hawaii. We like to snorkel when we go over there, Sharks Cove and different places. Yeah, she loves the islands, so that's when she gets in the water.
What's her perspective on the surf industry and surfboards?
Well, she knows it's a tough gig, but again, together we make it work.
Yeah, cool.
She supports me 100% in this, and we're a team. I couldn't do this business without her. I learned that early on, But yeah, it's a team effort. That's the way it works.
So I'm having all these questions I'd never have asked before. And if I'm getting too personal, you just tell me to stop.
No worries.
But how's the conversation?
Stop. No, just kidding.
How's the conversation when you guys are working together as a family and then you got to go home and eat dinner at the table or go out to dinner or something? Does work come up, or is there like we stop at 5 o'clock and we talk about palm trees or whatever? I don't know.
We love each other. So
of course.
Sometimes you're talking about business a lot, but then, you just kind of shut it off in the evening because, like I said, you can do this 24/7. If you, no. And sometimes you just want to walk away from it. We like to go on hikes. We like to do other things. We golf together now. So there's just other things that we enjoy doing together. So, so work is here, and then try not to bring it home,
Yeah. You know what, though? I did see a YouTube video where you had some of your trophies up.
Yeah.
So you told a story about burning some old trophies or something.
No, I was just, I had accumulated some amateur trophies when I was younger, and I got rid of all of those. It's funny because then I started competing again, after making boards for a while and stuff. I started doing, because I was making boards for younger kids and stuff, and just wanted to go down to the contests and support them. And so I'm like,
so you jump in the heat.
Oh yeah. Why not? It's like, as a surfer, it's like, and then you see all your buddies you used to compete against when you were in your teens. So I started competing in like the masters, the amateur masters and this and that. So so I got rid of I threw all my other trophies away. Now I got a bunch of other trophies that I'll probably end up throwing away at some point, but I try and hang on to the more important ones, so.
The story was you burned them. Is that true? Or is that just what you said?
Oh, no, I got rid of them. There was a couple of wood ones, a couple of them, they were Paul Houstonstam's brother. I wish I wouldn't have got rid of them. They were wood, and I did burn those.
Like handcrafted?
Yeah.
And
I was like, why did I get rid of those trophies?
Yeah, why did you?
It was...
so let's ask that question.
Because I was just like over it. It's like, dude, all they do is collect dust. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, I remember I won. Fair enough. Right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not agreeing with you.
Yeah.
I just understand.
But there are a couple of those killer ones that were hand carved that I was like, oh man.
You look back at it now.
Yeah, I should have kind of hung on to that one because I could, display it around my factory or whatever.
Yeah, you got plenty of wall space.
I know. Yeah.
You have several pictures, and a lot of them are like iconic surf pictures of the 80s. So who were you working with to get photos?
Well, so Quicksilver.
Yeah.
So Mike Moyer
was he contracted with Quicksilver?
I believe so, but he was definitely, because he would do photos of like the fashion shows and stuff. So I'm pretty sure he was on the payroll, but at the time, Paul Gomez was a guy that I met when I was inland. That was one of the surfers, him and his brother Bobby. We'd go surf with those guys all the time. And then Paul got a job at Quicksilver, and he was working in the marketing or team department with Preston and Danny. He would organize photo shoots, and he'd drive us all down. But anyway, so that was, that's where I think that was one of my first center spreads in Surfer Magazine, was a Quicksilver photo shoot.
So rad.
I was surfing George's just to the north of Seaside and Moyer. Back, it was pretty solid swell, and Moyer would, go out there and do the water shot thing. And it was myself, Bellinger, and Todd Miller, and Bellinger absolutely scored the most photos from that trip. I had a few outtakes, and I had, a backside barrel that was actually ended up being a center spread and surfer, but that was my first, I think, mag shot. And then after that, I had shots of 18th Street. Flame got one of me, Peter Brule.
Okay.
And just and then
iconic photographers.
Yeah. I was so stoked. It's like, man, I was kind of fortunate to, land those too. And those were just random. They weren't organized photo shoots. It just
the
happened.
waves were good and they were there.
Oh yeah. Like this one day in 91, 18th Street was really good. And Flame, you swam out there. And I was getting some of the longest barrels I've ever got out there that day. It was glassy and just incoming solid swell. And we lined up, and he didn't put my name in the thing, which I don't really care. But everyone's like, "Hey, did you see that center spread of you in the surfing magazine?" Like, no, and ended up being a Flame photo.
Wow.
Yeah, it's cool.
Did other surfers recognize you from being so photogenic? Or do you think they recognize you from the beach, like a Joe like me?
What in that particular shot?
In that era, just that era.
No, I mean, I didn't. I only got a few here and there. I don't think I was overexposed. I think Robbie Todd got way more. Remember Robbie Todd?
I do.
Yeah, Robbie. We used to call him Mag Slut because he was always.
He's kind of like the Willie Morris
dude. He was Moyer's boy.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So I didn't chase photographers. I just wanted to surf, and if you show up and surf and you happen to get a good wave, then all of a sudden it's like the one that Peter Brule got. The only reason why my name got in that one was because Matt Patterson was down at Surfer Magazine, and they were like, "Oh, check out this." It was just a bottom turn. The wave ended up closing out, but just the frame that Peter Brule got was just a nice thick point wave, and I was bottom turning, and I was in 97. Like, oh, who's this? And Matt Patterson's like, oh, that's a Strats. And so anyways, at first I got the actual mock-up of what they were going to put as the caption before my name got on it. I got that little piece of whatever
caption.
Yeah. And then the actual one, they changed it because Matt Patterson told them that it was me. So
they didn't know it was.
Yeah.
If you're surfing and you know that there's a photographer there, are you changing the way you surf? Or are you just Mike surfs how he surfs?
Yeah, no. I'm just when I paddle out, I just try and get the best wave I can. Yeah, okay. And it's funny because I remember, when you're younger, I think you go out and you try and catch as many waves as you can. You're not really focused on getting the best waves, but as you get older, I think, you don't have the energy you had when you were younger.
More selective?
Yeah, more selective. And I just know, because I'm 58 now, so, you can't really keep up with the Groms, right? So you go out there and like this last swell, it got into Newport. There was some good waves at 28th. And so I think I surfed for 2 hours and caught 4 waves.
Wow. Okay.
And those were good enough because
you're picking them.
Oh yeah. And I was on a step up, and I'm like, I'm just going to try and get good ones. So.
Does that help your surfing or hamper your surfing?
I think it helps, but on the smaller days, I'll get way more waves because when I leave here to go for a lunchtime surf, it's more like exercise for me too. So in a hour and a half session, I'll get a ton of waves. But when it's bigger, you don't get as many waves because it's the bigger playing field and a little more, it requires a little more energy to get in and out of the water and all that stuff.
Going back to Mike Moyer. So you've known Mike rest in peace. You've known him forever, right?
Yeah.
You knew him?
Yeah.
What's
Mike was
history.
So Mike was a family friend of my stepdad, and that's how I originally met him. And I knew he was a surf photographer, and he was always around Newport and stuff. So, but it was funny because there is a photo that he got of me and my brother as our very first water photo ever. And we just happened to be surfing at Crystal Cove back when it was a private beach. My aunt had the key to the gate. And so we were down there. Mike was out there shooting somebody else, and Dave and I were out catching waves. And so he happened to get our first, I want to say, besides parents taking our picture down at Blackie's or whatever around the beach, that was the first time we had a surfing water shot. So that was pretty cool. And he was like, an iconic photographer and a legend water photographer. So it's cool.
I already never wore a wetsuit out there.
Never. And even when you go out
this time of year?
Oh yeah, no, Mike he's the original ice bath guy.
Time.
Yeah. No, I mean, Mike.
Dude, that's cold.
Yeah. Yep. 54.
Did you ever ask him why?
No. He just liked the cold water. Yeah. And he'd come out and, when he wasn't shooting photos, he would surf and never wore a wetsuit. Never saw him put a wetsuit on.
How was he as a surfer?
I don't remember.
Okay.
But I'm sure he was a good surfer. I mean,
fair enough.
Definitely proficient.
He knew the water.
Most of the time you would just see him, he was shooting photos, but the rare occasion that he was surfing, he could surf.
Cool. And well, we talked about music earlier, your punk rock days. So a lot of your Instagram, are you like, what's your favorite band today?
That's a tough one. I mean,
is it?
I like a lot of music. I mean, I just like a lot of different music.
Okay.
It kind
Do
of
you
just
mix
depends.
it up now?
Yeah. It kind of just depends almost like what mood you're in. I see a lot of different bands, and I like Queens of the Stone Age a lot. I like Interpol. I like Radiohead, and then of course all the other stuff that I grew up with. Like I just saw Depeche Mode.
How are they after all these years? Are they still good?
Oh, they still kill it.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, I saw the Stones a couple of years ago. They still kill it too.
Okay.
I mean, come on, they're in their 70s, but I mean, I don't know how old Dave.
I don't know how they're hanging in there.
Yeah. No. Music is, I got that love of music from my fleshly father. He played music, and he always we dig into my parents' music collection when we were kids. I mean, the first album I think I ever started listening to was Led Zeppelin 2, and then the Stones and stuff. But yeah, no, I'm not stuck in the 80s by any means. I love those 80s bands, but The Cure, all that stuff.
You're going into shape. Do you put music on like loud? Do you not put music? You want to quiet? Do you listen to podcasts? Like, what are you doing?
No,
or does it always change?
It changes, but no, I always, usually it's music,
Okay.
and I got a speaker. I've always had speakers in my room, and I listen to it. My wife says I listen to it too loud. I don't think it's too loud, but it's
You're working.
Yeah, and a lot of times, and then if I fire up the plane or put on my headset or whatever, but I listen to music. I listen to podcasts as well. Listen to your podcast. Listen to some other ones, But yeah, and
if you have a particular board you have in mind, you're going to shape. Let's say like a high performance, like the longboard you have in there. That's rad. Yeah. Does that dictate the music, or does the music dictate?
No.
What you're feeling?
Normally, when I'm listening to music, I just put Apple Music, and I just put it on shuffle.
Yeah,
it's the best because you never know. And right. I have a pretty extensive music library on that, so you just never know what's going to pop up. So, you get a little bit of everything, and then it keeps it fresh and exciting.
Yeah, but it does. I guess what I was trying to say, I'm envisioning this, and I could totally be wrong because I've never shaped a board, but if you're going for like a high performance, or like if you're shaping a Grom, or maybe you want something a little more aggressive or something. I don't know, but so you're just listening to whatever comes on.
Whatever comes on.
Sing along.
Yeah.
Do you sing along? Are you a singer?
No. Sometimes I do karaoke with my wife, but I'm not really a singer. But I know the words to a lot of the songs. I sing to myself.
Okay, there you go.
Sing to me.
As a shaper, there's some shapers that get in these boxes, but you seem pretty open-minded about shaping. What's your thoughts on boards today?
Yeah.
Or over the generations, I guess, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that 100% keeping an open mind to different shapes and stuff and trying to be versatile, that just makes it fresh, too. You don't want to get stuck. Like I remember when I first started shaping, it was all squash tail tri-fins for the most part. Right. And a lot of boards for Japan were just the same, 6'1" to 6'3", 18 and a half. You know what I mean? Just
Yep.
But no, that's what's so nice about where surfing's at right now is just there's just so many different types of the customers are more open-minded, so they're not just stuck in a rut.
Okay.
So you get that in the shaping room that translates to just being able to shape different things on any different day. And I still like to hand shape. So you grab a blank and you fresh, whatever, whether it's a fish or a short board or a long board. I mean, I even do SUPs. What?
Do you?
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, custom short.
Do you participate in that?
I have participated in that. I haven't done it in a while, but when it's small and it's kind of nice. I like to do it in winter when the sun's out, the water's cold, and it's flat.
You don't have to get in the water.
Yeah. You're above it. And like I can go to a couple spots in Newport where there's nobody around and you can just have a lot of fun.
Score a little waves.
And get exercise, instead of staying out of the water. I mean, I like to ride longboards too, but it's nice about the SUP is you can actually get into it before a longboarder and they kind of get a little upset sometimes.
I mean, I get that.
But I don't mind pissing them off.
Okay. You ever throw in that I've been surfing here for 50 years?
Oh, I don't get that. I can go in Newport. They just look at me funny. They know I can ride whatever, but
yeah,
it's funny because I will get a few looks from the boys. And again, I haven't got on I ride a little 8.0, you know what I mean? Which is probably long compared to what the guys are riding now, but
yeah,
I like to ride waves and do turns even on those things. So, I don't ride the big, long SUPs, but yeah, it's frowned upon in certain spots, and I won't go to certain areas, but sometimes I will go out at Blackie's when it's longboarders, and I'll get out there on my SUP, and they look at me funny, but I mean, come on, I've been surfing this place since I was 5.
Okay.
What are you going to say?
So actually, I wasn't planning on going this route, but I'm curious. What are your thoughts on how this area, this region of North County, Orange County, has changed over the years? From when you were 5, 10, let's say 12 years old, when you were full on surfer, to today.
Well, I'll tell you what, one thing that I say quite a bit now is like, man, when I paddle out and during the middle of the week, trying to get waves to myself. I mean, there's still areas between Newport and Huntington where you can go out and get
wide open.
Yeah.
State
and depending,
beach.
yeah. Oh yeah. So, I mean, where the nooks and crannies are, but when you're going to your just local spots to my local spots midweek trying to get waves to yourself. And it just does not seem like you can get waves to yourself anymore at those spots. It's like, does anybody work? Does anybody have a job?
Or is there just more surfers?
What? Yeah, that could be, that's part of the equation for sure. But it just feels like when I was younger, man, we used to ditch school and go surfing, and
it would be open, right?
Oh my goodness. Are you kidding?
11 o'clock on a
Wednesday. And it would be good. Yeah. It would be good. And we were just like, oh, I'm so glad I ditched school today.
Yes. Yes.
But you can't get that anymore, man. You show up and it's like, the parking lot at Blackie's is full in winter. It's a weekday. And it just doesn't seem to happen that way anymore.
Was it more of a local vibe back in the day than it is today? Now is it kind of like
certain
everyone
spots
surfs?
Well,
was Blackie's the same today as it was in 80?
Because of the increase in the surfing population, there's a lot more danger out there. That's why I wear my gaff helmet. Helmet plug. No.
No, plug them.
I wear that gaff helmet for a couple of reasons because I'm getting older and I keep the sun off my head. I've had head injuries over the years from surfing and skateboarding.
That was my next question. Yeah.
Yep. So, I don't care if you think I look like a kook. I like it because I get a little more courage when it's a little thicker out there and I'm pulling into barrels, and hopefully your board doesn't hit you, but it does sometimes.
The crowd difference.
Oh yeah. So going back to that. So,
was it like you were seeing your high school buddies in the lineup and you knew everybody and now you know nobody?
Because I shape surfboards and I'm familiar with the generations of kids I've seen so many kids grow up here around town and have made some of their first custom boards for them and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I still get the respect from the young kids. Plus, you got the board riders club thing too, where everybody is, you see all the generations. So you see the faces, you know who the people are. But in general, I don't have too much of a problem, getting waves or respect in the lineup, but it is getting more dangerous with the amount of people because you get these people out here that are literally just trying to or barely learning to surf, and they're dropping in. They really don't know. It's like they're learning to surf, but they're not learning the etiquette of it.
They're not learning the proper way either. They're dropping in ways they shouldn't be dropping in. Oh, gosh. Which they're going to either get hurt or they're going to hurt somebody else.
It's horrific.
How are you getting better if you're just dropping into a 3-foot wall?
It's horrific.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I jumped in.
No, dude, not at all.
Is Blackie's a beginner wave?
Absolutely. It's where the kids learn, and you cut them some slack. It's like, even the local boys, that's where they go. The kids learn,
Bring their kids.
But they also teach them the etiquette part of it, which your average, if you don't have family background,
Yeah.
with surfing,
Second generation, third generation.
you don't. They're not learning the etiquette, and that's where it can be dangerous. But when the boys are out there with the kids, they're also teaching them, respect,
Holding them back and saying, "Hey,
and
Mike's gone, Uncle Mike, or whatever."
No, and that's how surfing, I think, can stay, a little safer. Of course, the population is growing, and you know what I always say too. It seems like the swells seem to be less consistent, or at least the south swells. It's like when all the boys are off the jetty and you're trying to get waves. It's like we're all trying to be respectful, but everybody wants the good one.
And frothing.
It just seems like it's less consistent, so that can be a little difficult too.
Has Newport Beach sand changed?
Oh, our sand's horrible right now.
Is it horrible?
Yeah, that's why I got a Huntington City pass.
Is that where you're driving?
Oh, dude, I got my state pass. I got my Newport,
which is only 2 miles down the road.
Yeah. So no, I have 3 different parking passes, and they serve me well. But right now, they've been piling sand in the mid-groin, the mid-jetty field, and
which is what, like 52nd Street, or
more? So let's just say from around 32nd, 36 through the 50s, and unless the tide's minus low, it's just like you're surfing warble backwash.
Yeah.
And
like the 30th is kind of like the bodyboard spot anyhow, isn't it?
40th is, but what's interesting is I say part of the problem too is it just doesn't seem like we've had any good swell seasons to rip the sand out of there. And usually when they do the sand replenishment, just a few big swells and everything neutralizes, but we haven't had that. So it's just been really wonky, and the beach is steep and the sand's built up. So hopefully this El Nino will just grab it all.
Pull it out, take it out.
Yeah, pull it all out to the edge of the houses. But the 56th Street jetty is so packed up with sand now. That used to be, they call it the hottest 100 yards. Now it's like
there used to be a huge left on the south swell that just real.
Yeah, and it still has its moments, but the jetty is now, I wouldn't call it the hottest 100 yards. It's like a 25-yard jetty now. It's weird.
A lot of places in California, especially Southern California, that we built up on sand and stuff, and maybe you don't have the answer to this, but what are your thoughts? Is it a good idea to put groins like Newport did on other beaches, let's say Oceanside or something, that are having huge sand problems?
Are they having sand problems down there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not that...
People are anti-groin for some reason.
Yeah. And growing up with jetties around me, I think that, hey,
that's how it is.
This is great. And it seems like, and I think it did create more variety in surf spots along that little, from the pier to river jetties, right?
What would it look like otherwise?
That's a good question. I don't know. It'd just be one. Well, it'd probably look like Huntington State Beach, but maybe a little more eroded to the houses. I don't know. But yeah, that's a good question. And, you never know. You throw some jetties in there down there where you guys are at, you might have some.
Yeah, they're anti. It's weird because that's the whole thing that they're doing this whole, almost going to make a like new super rank in Oceanside possibly.
It
just got voted in, but they didn't want to do groins. Groins is the easy answer.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Proof is here, Newport.
Yeah. Well, I mean.
And you guys were used in the study. Or the Newport City was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But anyhow.
That's interesting. Where do they want to put them though?
South O, there's no sand.
Oh yeah, because down to like Buccaneer Beach or
the Buccaneer's gone. There's no Buccaneer.
Dude, it
used to be fun.
10
years ago.
That was one of our, outside of Newport. Well, we lived here, but my dad, the first time I surfed Buccaneer Beach, I think I was 11 or 12. And that's the first time I ever met Chewy Reyna. He was like one of the little rippers down there, but my dad rented a beach house right there at Oceanside. And,
cool.
And so I have a little fond little spot in my heart for Buccaneer, and I go down there and eat it. The buck muff, get the buck muff.
Yeah. Gone. No beach.
Gnarly.
Rocks.
It's a fun surf spot.
It was. With the population of surfing growing, has that helped your business of shaping more boards?
It can be a good thing. I think most of the time these people start off with maybe buying $100 wave storm, but if they stick with it or whatever, maybe they want to get a real surfboard. But
So the answer is
maybe in the long term. But
Okay.
I mean, it's funny because we're not building as many fun shapes or longboards as we were maybe say before this $100 surfboard thing started going. But at the end of the day, I mean, I like shaping them. I don't want to shape too many of those things, but
okay. It got to be fun too to mix it up a little bit. Sometimes maybe
what that?
it's like the fun shape kind of thing.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. I mean, I have a our model of surfboards covers the gap.
Yeah.
There's
your open mindedness. Back to the question I had earlier. If someone's going to come and see you at your shop, do you talk to them? Do you ask for like videos of them surfing so you know the level they're at? Do you kind of help work with them?
Usually it's word of mouth and I talk to them. I don't watch. No videos. No videos, please.
That could be a rabbit hole.
No, but you can. I mean, after doing this for 30 something years, all you got to do is get an idea. It's funny because you get these guys that come in here and they say, I need 34 liters of volume. And I go, okay, all right. So what does that look like? What kind of, what model? Let's start. Where do and where do you surf? How often do you surf? Yeah, you can clue into that stuff real quick.
Okay. Liters, since you brought it up, does it matter? Does it matter? My opinion is, and I'm not a shaper, it matters where you put it, right?
Yeah.
34 liters.
Yeah. 34. What does that look? What does 34 liters look like on a 6-8 or
16 bottles of Pepsi?
Yeah. So basically, I've clued because we use the computer as well, and so once surfboard design started going in that direction, if someone comes in and says, "I like this," I like your super sport model, I want it, 6'2". Okay, what's your height and weight? Okay, you want this many liters? That looks like 19 1/4 by 2 7/16 if you want that model. For your stature, I'm thinking maybe you need a little more. You can, so I can talk that language all day long, or I can size you up with length, thickness, you know what I mean?
With shaping today, since you brought the computers up, and you talked about hand shaping also, are you doing both, or which one are you doing? Is it 50-50? Or is it 80-20?
Well, when things slow down, like this last year's been a little slower, so I definitely will hand shape more. I love hand shaping. I use the computer quite a bit as well, and I get most of my EPS blanks cut on the computer.
Okay.
But I do hand shape a few of those too. It's a little bit different than shaping a poly blank, but use the computer, and it's always good for expediting orders when it's busy. All my designs that I can hand shape are also digitized. So, and usually sometimes I'll do this with like team guys. I'll hand shape them a board and throw in a hand shape versus a computer, and they can't tell the difference.
That was my next question. Is there a difference?
Usually you're trying to shape the same design, whether you're hand shaping it or if you can hand shape or you get it cut on the computer. In the past, I've always hand shaped a board and then had it digitized.
Yes.
So
scanned.
Scan. And then from there you can make, all kinds of changes and change the whole board if you want to.
Yeah.
Hand shaping, I love it. And it's important.
Do you geek out on the computer and start saying, changing things?
Well, no, I work along with Brian at ProCam. So I've been using them since they opened back in '94. We have a good working relationship. He's really good on the computer. So we are able to, I can communicate changes and this and that to him. So I don't actually play with the software.
Okay.
I don't think I have the attention span for that. No, I've geeked out on Shape 3D a little bit here and there, and Aku Shaper and stuff.
I read that, I don't know if you weren't attacked, but you saw a shark at Lowers once?
Yeah.
How was that?
I think that was
Was that your first time?
During COVID. Yeah, that was the first time. I mean, I've seen sharks, snorkeling in Hawaii and stuff like that, but that was the first time in the lineup that I saw a shark. Mm-hmm. And It wasn't aggressive, but it was definitely checking us out. And it happened to be, I was with a buddy of mine who lives in San Clemente. We decided to go for an afternoon surf. I think I was going down to Oceanside to make a board delivery. And then I was coming back up and I'm like, let's go surf lowers. And the swell was good size. It was kind of windy and there was only like 5 guys in the water.
Man, you still get those days?
Oh yeah. This was great. But anyway, so we go down the trail, we jump out there and literally windy, but there were some waves coming in. Mm-hmm. One guy sitting like almost like a guy that shouldn't even been out there was sitting outside. He was like our indicator buoy. And then we were all sitting in the lineup and set comes out of the corner of my eye. I see this like thing swimming and it wasn't like a dolphin swimming. Right. And then a wave obscured it. We were in between waves and I'm like, oh man, yelled at my buddy. I go, that's a shark. Yeah. So it was a shark. It was probably, what do they call them? And it wasn't a big shark, it was, but definitely a shark. And so I just said to my buddy, Jason, I said, dude, I just saw a shark. And the other guy that was next to me said, yeah, it didn't look like a dolphin. So we all paddled in.
Okay.
Yeah. So
kept it safe.
Yeah. And it was funny because we were on the beach and some guy had just come down the trail and we were talking to the state
lifeguards.
Yeah. And just telling them the rangers, we saw a shark and this and that. So a guy goes out there and he's the only one out there. And then he paddles back in.
Oh, he was hanging out.
Yeah. But then we saw a baby seal swimming around on the inside. So that's what we figured it was after that. But the shark didn't charge us or anything, but he's definitely swimming through the lineup. And at first we're like, well, maybe he's swimming north, but then we saw the seal on the inside and then we decided, no, we're not going back out there today. Yep.
Played it safe.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on wave pools?
Wave pools are fun.
Have you surfed one?
I've surfed Texas a couple times and I just surfed the Palm Springs wave pool.
Oh, did you? How was that?
Yeah, that was.
Give us some insight.
Yeah. It's fun. There's a couple different wave settings and they definitely, I think, have their place. Yeah, they're fun.
What settings did you do at Palm Springs?
We did. So there's a kind of a right off the wall into a little barrel section, and then there's a left off the wall into the little barrel section. We did both of those, and then we did. There's a peak situation, and there's a left and a right, and I think.
So is this the expert or the intermediate?
I think it was. I don't know what setting it was. I think it was intermediate to expert because
Okay.
Everybody in our group could surf.
Yeah.
Even though we were old guys, but we could surf.
Yeah.
I'd say it was short and sweet. It's a short wave, but it kind of forces you to be on your toes, and get up and just start clicking it because if you try and set up or go down the line a little bit, the wave will be over.
Boards, since you're a shaper, do you ride the same board at Blackie's as you are at the wave pool in Palm Springs?
Yeah, it's funny. This board I was riding at Palm Springs, I'd never ridden it before. It was my first time riding it, and it was basically my normal board that I ride. I ride all EPS epoxy boards.
Okay.
That in a wave pool is just fine, and I don't change anything.
So if I was going to my first wave pool and I wanted a board shaped, my everyday board's fine?
Yeah. Go with your everyday board. Just as long, it's not too long.
Foam.
You don't want to, I don't think, depending on the wave setting, you don't want the board too long.
Okay.
But you want to be able to turn it and paddle it, and you got to, it's kind of a weird sensation the way, when we're out in the lineup and we're sitting waiting for a wave, the waves kind of come into you, you turn around, you start getting momentum and going. This thing kind of sucks the water back a little bit. It's a weird sensation you got to get used to. You hear the machine start making, grumbling, and then the water goes, and then it pops up, and then you just paddle for it.
So you got to be on your toes.
Yeah. If you know how to surf, you'll get it down. Okay. No worries.
All right. Do you think there is a day coming where the guy's going to come in here and say, I just want you to shape me a wave pool board? And it's going to sit on the racks until he goes to the wave pool?
I don't know about I would say the designs that will be good for a wave pool would be like a fishier design. You could ride a twin fin. You can, just stuff like that. So I would just say, hey, what are you trying to achieve? What's your ability? And then, make them a normal model that I would make them, they can ride it wherever.
Okay. So there's one other thing, and I don't know if this is you or not, so we can edit this out if it's not you.
Yeah.
But it says that you got credit for being in a movie. It's called Teen Confronts Fear.
Oh yeah, that's Sage Burke. So yeah. No,
so I tried to watch it. I couldn't watch it.
Dude, that movie is classic.
So how do you find it?
there's I don't know, man. I mean, I just basically, I think I had a little bit of shaping in there, but I don't know if there's anything below a B movie. No, but Sage Burke and his dad put that thing together. His dad's classic. His dad's a professor. I think he's a professor at USC or something. He's just a really, I think he's a physics professor. Okay. Guy's classic.
So he's like a genius.
I think what you would need to do is maybe eat a bunch of mushrooms. No, just kidding. But yeah, no, that was I think I sat through it and it was interesting. But yeah, that was Sage Burke's dad, and I think I did.
So you have an acting part in it, or are you just a shaper?
No, I don't act. I just
your name's
provided surfboards and a little shape. I made a shaping cameo.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool, right? You're Hollywood.
Yeah. No, I'm when I was I've done a little bit here and there when I was modeling and stuff, and did some
I didn't know you
bit
modeled.
parts and stuff. Yeah, I'm not proud of that.
Okay. But we have to ask you now. I was just going to wrap this up, but do a 2-minute thing on modeling.
Oh yeah, what
kind of model were you?
You get,
or should I not ask?
You get this is. I'll try and sum it up in a nutshell. You get back then you got a page, you answered it, and you had to be somewhere, and then you grabbed the Thomas guide because it was before GPS, and you had to go find some place in LA. And then you were there with a bunch of guys that are way taller than you. It's like, I'm 6 feet tall, right? Yeah. And you show up there and these guys are anywhere from 6 feet minimum to whatever, 6'5". And, this is what they do.
So you're trying out. Like,
yeah. It's a, what do they call it? Not an audition. It's a, yeah, what do they casting call? No,
casting call.
Yeah, I don't know.
That all sound right.
Yeah. So
that's funny.
But yeah, you show up to these places, and it burned a lot of time. And I think I got 2 jobs, and you got to show up. And I did that for a little while, and I was like, nope.
Was there money involved? Like good money?
There can be good money in it.
Did you get good money on that?
I made a little bit of money.
Okay, just a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. But if you work your way up and they want you, you can.
Yeah, I mean, I was with a couple of different agencies, but I just didn't. It was a time consuming. I was trying to balance it between. I think at the time I was working for my friends cleaning swimming pools, so. Okay. And that was before I started my actual surfboard company, I think. But yeah, it was just interesting.
Did Quicksilver and all that kind of help? Did you want to take that route?
No, I did a little bit. I did a couple modeling things for Quicksilver too, but I was kind of going a little hand in hand there, but
just trying it all, everything out.
Yeah. When you're that age, you don't really know it. Yeah, you're trying to figure out what you want to do. So.
Are you bummed you're not a male model?
Oh, not at all. I could be a senior model, right?
There you go.
No, thank you.
All right, and then the last question. I know this is a stupid one, but I have to ask. So, is there any relations to the Poncherello?
Oh, no. You know what? Maybe there is. I don't know. Estrada, right?
Right.
I mean,
so when
who knows? We're all related when it comes down to it.
That is true. All right.
But yeah, but I do. Yeah, I do. It's funny because sometimes people will call my shop and they're all, is Eric there?
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. Like, Eric? No, Eric's not here, but Mike is. But yeah, I've had that. Eric Estrada.
Especially like in the 80s, right?
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, it's.
I had to ask. Sorry.
No, I don't care.
Funny.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah. Well, Mike Estrada, thank you so much for coming on the Quivercast. It was a blast, man.
Yeah, no, it's great talking, chatting. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks. All right, everybody. This is Mike, and we're out of here. Later.
See you. You.
Surfers going up and down. That's when I caught my wave. Knew what to do. Surf that wave right to the shore. And yes, dreams come true. fantastic sunny day. Boys and girls hanging around, surfers going up and down. When I caught my wave, knew what to do. Surf that wave right to the shore. Yes, my dream came true.
Hey, you guys, Endless Summer box set. This thing is legit. It's authentic, numbered certificate in it. It has a 5-frame film strip from the original print. You literally own a piece of history. It has a specially minted bronze medallion. Dude, that thing's sick. Okay, there's so much more here. Go to the show notes. There's a link on there. Go check this piece of history out. This thing's rad. Seriously. Smithsonian American History Museum has it. It took 4 years of research with 3.5 in production, all hand assembled. This thing's rad. So much to this awesome box set. Remastered DVD, sharper images than the original film, but dude, this thing's so sick. Link in the show notes.